Yoshi44 here, and it's the end of 2014, and on to 2015. Well, anyway, to close the year, let's take a look at a really popular creepypasta called Pokemon Lost Silver. And to be honest, I don't really know what it's about. I read it, it's everywhere, I think. Well, let us begin. You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, here in the States. Oh, I really hope you got a good pre-order bonus. Wait, did they come with a pre-order bonus? Aside from that Pokewalker thingy? Oh well. I have purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet aside for school purposes. That means no 4chan. What is 4chan? No slash v slash whatever that is. No Bulbapedia, etc. As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. I decided during that time I would replay my Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. However, I realized that long ago my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and I was very upset about it then. She also threw away my Silver version, so I'll have as my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used Silver version. Remember when GameStop used to sell Game Boy? Product placement. As it's the only Pokemon game left that they have for the GBC. $10, fairly cheap. But I got Legend of the Lost Spatula SpongeBob for $5, I believe. I went home and started it up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started getting bizarre. And most likely the reason why you read this. No, it's because I'm trying to finish the year out with this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but it just froze there. I thought the cart was just errored or something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A and start over and over on all of the buttons. Eventually the logo vanished and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game in a previous save file, which was odd. I was expecting all of the carts to have been wiped out by the poor battery. Wait, can that work? I always just assumed you could just erase them manually through the game. Shows you what I know. Either way, I wasn't complaining, as I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. Why would you do that? Why would you want to do that? That just bothers me. Why would you want to check the previous save file of the last person? Why? Doesn't make sense to me. First off, I checked his trainer information. His name was just ... Ooh, really great start here. He didn't have much originality. Who does this? I checked his profile and apparently he had 99 hours put into the game. With all 16 badges, 99999.9 Poké Dollars, and all 251 Pokemon on the Pokedex. Seeing as he apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also, I am guessing he either used a game genie or was a really hardcore Pokemon player back then. I checked his Pokemon to see what a badass team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I'm thinking that this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played this game, but I decided to check the profiles of those Pokemon anyway. As expected, there were different letters of unknown, all level 5. I was a bit shaky with my unknown alphabet at the time, but identified the word spelled out to be leave. As for the 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this is before there were individualized Pokemon icons. The Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was level 5 with only 1 HP left with only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at the time, I just disregarded it. The most eerie thing was that despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon he had said their usual cries, just pure silence. Having enough of a team, I closed it and I was parked at what appeared to be a room inside the Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all, as if it was just leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and when there was no exit or ladder, or at least I thought there wasn't, I walked around for a few minutes but can't seem to find a way out. This is certainly not a room I've seen in the Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder which turned out to be behind the pillar. The screen turned black and the music finally started to play. I had a sudden chill, and as I recognized that melody, I heard to be the theme you hear when you listen to the radio at the Alph Ruins where the Unknown are at. I immediately realized that it wasn't a loading transition, but rather I was in a dark room and would need flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokegear to change the radio to something more pleasant. But it turns out there was no radio card, or even a phone nor time cards. There was only a map card in which Gold, ... from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on, whatever happened to Silver? Was just walking in the midst of black. I recall that Cyndaquil has Flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Cyndaquil use Flash. I didn't see any message saying Hurry had used Flash, or anything like that. The room just became lit just like that, and soon regretted it. The room was chilling blood red with a linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up and down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south, and the screen got darker every 20 steps I make, until I finally made it to the end, which appears to be a sign. It said, "Turn back now." Suddenly, I was asked to answer yes or no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes, as I do not know what it was asking, and the screen went black again, making a ladder climb sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was replaced by the not as creepy Pokefloat radio music. I was in a dark room, but I held my breath and used Flash again. Suddenly, it said that Hurry has fainted, which was odd since I recall there was no status conditions like poison on him, and I clearly wasn't in a battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he's no longer part of the party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokemon are there. But instead, all replaced with level 10 known, I did the same thing as before and spelled out the unknown. It's spelled, he died. Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room that appears to be only 4 squares big. The walls of that room were gray bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Outside that room appears to be a bunch of graves similar to the ones in Pokemon Red and Blue. I've walked around that small room and pressed A, but nothing happened. I've already concluded that this was clearly a hacked game and some sort of sadistic sold it to me at GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of ... again, only to find out that the sprite of the Gold was missing its arms. He also seemed to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty in a way that I do not know how to describe. For some reason, it also announced that he has 24 badges, which was clearly impossible. Great. Now I'm in one of those stories. Yay! After a few minutes of aimlessly wandering around, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying through, my character spun downward slowly as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped, and finally landing on an overworld sprite of Gold is colored differently now. Instead of his usual red colors he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. It's as if it came straight out from the colorless Game Boy games and placed into a colored background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile, and now... Wait, why did you repeat that? is as white as his overworld sprite. He has lost his legs and what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says he now has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me as this changed number seems to represent something important. I also checked my Pokemon, which this time contained 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebi without a nickname. The unknowns are at this time level 15 and spelling out dying. I checked Celebi's profile. It was a shiny Celebi, except there was only half the sprite. 1 leg, 1 arm, 1 eye. It has only 1 attack, Perish Song. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower with the immobile pillar as before, except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually, I finally encountered some generic men and women NPCs. They were all lined up on the side, just facing the long slantish pillar in the middle. They were all so white, with nothing happens when I speak to them. I kept going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red and, without even pressing A, I was suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. About time. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown music playing again, but played backwards. Gold's back sprite matches the one in front with the bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms, while Red sprite was the same as before in the GSC except transparent. The text simply said, "Wants to battle," as if he has no name and both of us have only 1 Pokemon each. Which is weird, as I swore I had 6 with the unknown. My shiny Celebi came out conveniently with half a sprite for the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, as the sound it made like multiple screech attacks used consecutively. Red sent out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he is level 255 and his sprite seems sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight item Pokemon Run menu, I was given the only option to use the attacks. Since Celebi is only 1, I chose it. Naturally, since Pikachu was level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. No, they can't! They're electric types. You're trying to mock the anime or something. Celebi used Parasong in 3 turns. Both Pokemon get KO'd. Not like I had much of a choice. At this point, I didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued on without me. Also note that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which didn't do much damage despite his level and boosted it as his health was maxed. Celebi used Parasong. Nothing happens as it was already used. Pikachu used Frustration, which did a shit ton of damage, knocking Celebi down less than 10 HP. Celebi used Plain Split, which surprised me. Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. Celebi and Pikachu have about 150 HP each. Pikachu used Mean Look. Not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of Parasong, my Celebi fainted. Except in the text it said, "Celebi has died." And instead of the ordinary drop off the screen animation, the Celebi back sprite just vanished. For some reason, Pikachu was still up, even with the Parasong, and it didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used 1 more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Towards it said, "Pikachu has died," with this slow fade out animation. Apparently I was the winner, as the transparent red sprite showed up and said, "Nothing." At that point, I just freaked out as that transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then ended at that point and faded out along with the music. I'm back in the overworld with another change to the gold sprite. He's now as transparent as the red overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, where this time there's one thing remains of his head with the transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing a black void in his eyes, and it now stated that he now has 40 badges. I then backed out and checked my Pokemon. They were all level 20 shiny unknown, which, when spelled out, read, no more. I was at what I now known is the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason, I still felt like something was there that could be heard. I was back in the room in New Barktown. Maybe finally I'd get to play this game properly. Who was I kidding? I don't know, maybe you turn the damn game off and erase the save data, everything would go back to normal. I don't know. I knew that sadistic must have done something. I walked around my room to interact with things, as I'm a bit afraid to go downstairs to see what was awaiting me down there. No, I said walked, as the background was moving. Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating there like those ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. Okay, new complaint. Quit listing games we'd rather be playing than reading this creepypasta. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level of my house. Everything appears normal, except my mom isn't home. Apparently, after failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, that door leading outside at the south didn't work, and instead, I just walked through a void. I continue moving south to see what the heck was going on. My house vanishes as I head south into the void. It was creepy when I entered the void. Okay, enough saying the word void. I'm getting annoying. The outline on Gold's transparent spite turned white to contrast with the pitch black. Eventually, I reached a white area and Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continue without thinking or stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it. He said, "Goodbye forever." Notably with the space in between forever and ... and vanished. Does that happen? It said, used nightmare. Which at that point, I would not deny being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I am now back in that small, hollowed-out room surrounded by graves earlier. Or at least, I say I was back there, as there was no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved. Not even wall bumping noises. I checked my trainer profile with absolutely no gold sprite left. It said I have 0 badges, and all the pictures of the Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked my Pokemon, which were all level 25 unknown. As expected, it spelled out the phrase I dared to read, "I'm dead." As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room I was supposedly was then covered with the same blocks as the walls. I then figured out exactly what that room was when the final text was said, "RIP." That room was big graves surrounded by other graves. Gold has apparently died. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokemon master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape from that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which I then finally decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the gimmick unknown the same way again. They say that only the first generation have folktales and legends, but the second generation have shown me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed Soul Silver immensely, but I still can't unthink what trick the game has told me. Here's the game. It's in early September 2010, a complete working fan game of Lost Silver was made. The game is its own executable rather than a ROM hack, and therefore does not require an emulation nor a Pokemon Silver ROM. There has been talks about expanding the story by adding a different series of events that the player chooses no. At the sign that says turn back now. While many people believe that the events when choosing no which is referred to as hidden by fans, is a made-up addition by the fans. It is in fact made up by the original writer in response to the creator of the fan game. The game's standalone fan game was made using underlying Pokemon engine created by a green creation called Game Maker. The source file or the game can be downloaded in the story. Pokemon Lost Silver. For the 4th time reading this creepypasta trying to film this exact video, I still don't like it. Granted, it's not as bad as I used to think it is, but it's still bad. Here's the way how I think. I think it tries too hard to scare us. That's what I think. With the effects of trying to add blood to it, macabre, and extra creepiness. And by the end, it starts to go off into another story where it's like, why? And with that, I give the game a C. Just for being average. It's not bad, but it's also not great. I know a lot of people love it. But for me, I don't care much for it. And that's about it. Well, anyway, tune in tomorrow. I will be uploading a brand new video, and here's your little hint. It involves a cat. You know, you're so cute. Yes, you are. Well, anyway, see you guys tomorrow for a brand new game review. Bye. Like what you saw? Like what I did? Then comment and subscribe to my channel. Also, I also have a Facebook page and a Twitter. If you want to try to follow me or like my Facebook page, then go right ahead. I'm not going to try to force you. Please do it. That is all. Bye.